the NBA has released their schedule going into next season. So, what lies ahead for the Milwaukee Bucks in their top matchups, and what will make them stronger going into the playoffs come April? I'm Jake Finnerty, and welcome on into Bucks Digest. If you want to keep it locked on all things Milwaukee Bucks, you better hit that subscribe button down below. 90% of our viewers are not subscribed. Please hit that subscribe button as we chase 1,000 subs. We just got over that 600 mark. Hit that subscribe button, and thank you all to everyone who keeps viewing on these videos. We're going to get there, and thank you for being part of that first 600 plus. But as just mentioned, the Milwaukee Bucks schedule was released. So now, what's their biggest matchups? What is going to show us what is a testament to this team and what we're going to see going into the playoffs next year? Hopefully, of course. But you know, where are we looking? What is going to be something that's circled on our calendar? Well, a day that might be circled on your calendar this year won't include the Milwaukee Bucks, and that's Christmas Day. This is the first time in 6 years the Milwaukee Bucks are absent from a Christmas Day game. You see here who will be televised on that day. It's known that now the NBA is one of the biggest day. The NBA is one of the Christmas Day, I should say, is one of the biggest days for the NBA. And truthfully, it's kind of a shock that we don't see the Bucks here. They've been one of the biggest drawers of viewership over the past few years. And not seeing them on this premiere day kind of goes to show that maybe Dame was speaking on something that was right earlier this week when he said the Bucks are flying under the radar a little bit. And maybe the team likes that, because you never know what you're going to get. And they asked him, what does that mean, flying under the radar? And he kind of just gave a little shrug like, well, you'll have to wait and see. So with that as well, the Bucks have gone down 2 nationally televised games this year. So don't worry, you will be able to watch the Bucks nationally televised 26 times, with 17 of those being on ABC, ESPN, and TNT, and then the other 9 coming on NBA TV. So, of course, everyone's probably wondering, what's the schedule? Where's the schedule? Who is where? When are we playing who? Well, let's take a look right now. There it is, all in all its glory, which you probably can't fully see. I know it's a little bit hard to see those icons, but there's the schedule. You see we have the in-season tournament starting up in November, which we'll get to a little bit later. And, of course, we've got the whole month of January, February. We have the All-Star break, March, and April. So we're going to start it off right in October, though. We're going to start it off with who are we seeing first? What's going to be the opener, and what should we expect? And you look right here in October, in the first week of games, in those first 5 games, 4 of them are actually away. And you have 2 of the top teams in the East that you're playing there. Of course, on your season opener, October 23rd, we've already got to see the Greek Freak versus the Process, versus Joel Embiid, a big rivalry that's been going on in the East. 2 of the top 5 MVP candidates for the past, 4 or 5 years now, 2 of the best players in the game. And honestly, this is going to be a tough testament. We're going to see what the Sixers are like with Paul George. We're going to see finally the first look at Gary Trent in a Bucks uniform on our side, and how Taurean Prince will also fit into this lineup. A little bit of you're always excited going into the start of the season and what we're going to see. And we saw in the Olympics this past week, Giannis is clearly basketball ready. He's ready to take over the world yet again. And I can't wait to see everyone come out guns blazing against the Sixers on October 23rd. Then next week, they've already got to face another tough challenge. And that is facing the Boston Celtics, your NBA champions from the last year, going away to Boston. And honestly, this is kind of a look at, this is maybe a prove-it game, because the Bucks missed out on their chance to see Boston in the playoffs last year. Granted, Giannis was hurt. Dame ended up dealing with an injury. It was kind of a what-if season by the end of it. And this is kind of, let's get right out to the start. Let's jump right out to the start and show Boston what we're made of. Show everyone that we're still here. The Bucks are still a very prominent name in the East. And I can't wait for this matchup. I always love seeing Boston. I always love playing against Boston. I hate the Boston Celtics, but I cannot wait to see what is to come right now with this team. But then we move a little bit into next month, and that's when we finally see the start of the NBA tournament, or the NBA in-season tournament, I should say. And the Bucks got into the B group of the East, so their group play will consist of the Raptors, the Pacers, the Heat, and the Pistons. Now, the Pistons, I'm not really, too pressed on that. I'll have that game circled on December 3rd. Can't wait to watch it. Hopefully, by that point, they would have already clinched moving on to the next round into the in-season tournament. But the other three games are really polarizing to me. Toronto, you have Gary Trent Jr.'s return actually playing against his old team. This will be held in Milwaukee, but this is just an interesting dynamic at that point where you see Gary Trent going against the Toronto Raptors, and you have that new look of the team, and it kind of, always lights a fire when you're going against your former team. Then you have the two teams that eliminated the Bucks in the playoffs the past 2 years. The Pacers being at home November 22nd, who have obviously become a very skilled young team, but now are clearly not now, but have been a clearly big rival for the Milwaukee Bucks recently, a big rival in the history of the Milwaukee Bucks. And I think even more now, they're going to have that fire lit under them, because yet again, this was another prove it. Giannis wasn't there. You beat us in this series, but we didn't have our full team. We didn't have our MVP. You don't have anything on us. And this is going to mean even more going into a playoff type game as well, playoff type atmosphere. And then you have the Miami Heat, who have been a pesky team in the East the entirety of since the bubble almost, and even before that. I mean, you honestly have this team fueled by Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, and a couple of other, very talented guys. But a team that knocked out the Bucks 2 years ago and really just feels like they're always there. You always want to beat them. And again, in a playoff atmosphere, and you're going down to Miami, what would be even sweeter than beating Miami at home in a playoff format, in a playoff type game, trying to clinch to get into that next round of the in-season tournament? I can't wait for this. All of those games being somewhat of a playoff type game. That's always what was so fun. That's what was so fun about the NBA in-season tournament last year, and I can't wait to see it again. But finally, the last thing I really want to hit on is this closing schedule, or this right at the end, right at the tail end of the Bucks schedule, and that's this 5-game stretch where the Bucks are on a 5-game away streak right before the end of the season, and they've got to face the Lakers, the Warriors, the new look Sacramento Kings, the Phoenix Suns, and the Denver Nuggets. Now, you already are looking at that, and that's wow. That's a lot of talent right there. The Lakers, you're already facing LeBron James, one of the best players ever to play the game of basketball. 1A, 1B with Michael Jordan. You've got the Golden State Warriors, who have one of the greatest shooters of all time with Steph Curry. And obviously, what's going on with the team right now is a bit up in the air. We'll see what they look like a little bit more going through the season. At this point, we would have known. The Sacramento Kings adding DeMar DeRozan, you're going to be seeing a very tough Kings team who was pesky in the playoffs just 2 years ago and can still make noise. And right now, this stretch is going to be, these teams are trying to prove it going into the playoffs. Then you have the Phoenix Suns, who the Milwaukee Bucks faced off against in the finals, have Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal, their own big three. May not have worked out last year. We could see what it comes of it this year. This stretch is going to be tough. And of course, the Denver Nuggets, winning the NBA championship just 2 years ago. And, honestly still have one of the best players in the world. And Jamal Murray as well on top of that. Aaron Gordon, adding a lot more pieces. All 5 of these teams are very complete teams out west. going on this stretch, coming out with 3 to 4 wins on this is proving a lot before you go into the playoffs 2 weeks after that. And you play Phoenix yet again a week later at home. As you can see right there, that'll be the first game that they play in April, on April 1st. But it's just a tough stretch at the end of the season. This is their longest away stretch that they have in the season as well. So this is coming at the perfect time, I think. It really proves what the Milwaukee Bucks are going to be going into the playoffs. And of course, I just can't wait to see them play. We're 68 days away from the NBA season starting. Let me know what you think of the Bucks schedule. If there's any games that I missed that you really want to highlight. And as always, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below and stay locked here on Bucks Digest.